都准备好了吗？好了，大家好，我叫 Glendi， 我是蒂拉纳大学孔子学院的本土教师。So today, I would like to share with you all my experience of teaching Chinese, especially to new students. The tricks I use, how I help them, and how they benefit from me, and how I benefit from them. When I have the first contact with the Albanian students, they have no idea what Chinese language is like. They see characters, and it looks like random pictures, just lines, scribbled. Of course, in the beginning, I always ask them, how many characters do you think the Chinese language has? Some of them say 10, 20, 30. Some of them are more scientific. They say 132. And when I tell them that there is 50,000 characters, they say, okay, we give up now. We're going. Normally, you need 3,000 to 3,500 characters to be able to read an article comfortably. But for us, especially, learning Chinese is quite easy. Why? Pinyin. All the initials and the finals, 80% of them are identical. If I ask a random Albanian student, read the first row. First of all, they will go, how do I read it? I say, read it in Albanian. And they go, and I say, it's almost the same. You just have to go, so I calm them down. It's not that hard. After, we have these 3 magical letters. Every single time that I try to teach them, well, before, actually, they always go, G, chi, shi. They can never get it right. But I found a trick. I call it the toothpick trick. What is this toothpick trick? You take a toothpick. Everybody knows what a toothpick is, yeah? Take a toothpick. Break it in half. Put it on your bottom teeth. Hold on to it with your tongue. Don't let it go. And you go, ji, chi, shi. After, you can get rid of the toothpick because you'll get used to it. This is the hardest part of the initials, at least. Next, we have the magical tones. I always ask them, how many tones are there in the Chinese language? Most of them say 4. Because I can only see 4 there. But normally there are 5. Now, if I say the first tone starts here and goes in a straight line, the second tone starts from the bottom, goes straight up. The third tone starts from here, goes down, and then up. And the fourth tone, up to down. How many of you think they can remember it? Maybe the first 5 minutes. Ask them after 5 minutes. None of them will remember. I found a way. I put names to them. The first tone. Pretty nice name. I actually figured this out because most of them my students picked for me. I call it the telephone tone. Can somebody guess why? None of you? You have an office phone, right? Office phone, not cell phone. Pick it up. Don't dial the number. What sound does it make? Beep. Exactly. Every time I say first tone, all you have to think of, beep. Second tone, I call it the surprise tone. Why? You have a best friend? Yes? Are you sure? Yeah? She had a birthday party. She did not invite you. Exactly. Huh? Second tone, surprise tone. Huh? It's easier to remember. You don't have to go first tone, second tone. What is it? Straight, going up, going down. All you need to memorize, telephone, surprise. Third tone, I might need your help because I could think of only one name for it. I call it the Thai tone. Usually when I'm always teaching, I wear a tie. And you have to block your throat. You go down. Ah. So every time I say, look at my tie, they always think third tone. And then there's the last one, right? There's two names. One, I came up with it. Second one, my students helped me. The first one, I call it the angry tone. Why? Because it's always like you're angry. And when they can't do it, I always go, are you never angry? Show some anger, right? Second tone. This is my colleague's favorite tone, favorite name, because he always makes fun of me for it. Imagine, I'm sure it happened to all of you. You hit your small pinky to the table legs. It hurts, right? What sound do you make? Of course. That's how you remember. It's easy. You don't have to say first tone, second tone, third tone, fourth tone. Just come up with names. You don't have to use my names. Come up with your own. Whatever you like. Give the students a chance. So they can say, hey, 老师, 这是我说的名字. That's mine. Right? We have here the vowels. A, O, O, I, U, U. Right? The second question they always give me is, where do I put that tone? Right? In the pinyin, there's always a tone up top. Where do I put it? Can you tell me? Where do you put the tone? Simple. Very simple. First of all, you can add numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But there's only these two that trade places. Kind of hard. How am I going to remember which one of them trade places when they're together? You can't. But there's a simple way. My previous teacher taught me this, and I'm very grateful. She said, say the word out loud. Wherever your mouth opens the most, that's where you put the tone. Let's try it. How do you say cat in Chinese? Like what? Are you sure? Louder. Exactly. Where did your mouth open the most? Mao. You try the difficult ones. You can say, for example, 休息, right? 休. You go 休. Always at the U it opens the mouth. So every time they forget, you just remind them. Say it out loud. Put the tone. That's it. Now, as I said in the beginning, they're always scared of Chinese language. Why? The characters. Every character, of course, is made by strokes. When I was growing up, we had to memorize every single stroke by name. Now I don't ask it. At least to my students. Why pressure them? You have to make Chinese language easier, happy, right? If they want to learn it later, go ahead. I never stop them. But I want them to practice every single stroke. That's more important for them. And after that, of course, we have the stroke order, where it starts from left to right, up to down, in to out. Do any of you follow this stroke order? Is it difficult for the students? I like your answer. She went, I don't use it. Why? A lot of people tell me, oh, but you have to do it the correct way. Sure, but you can do it another way. What's the other way? Whatever you feel like it. As long as the character is correct. Why is that? How many people are left-handed? How many people are right-handed? The left-hand person tells me, oh, but 老师, 我这样方便. It's easier for me to write it this way. Am I going to stop him? No. As long as the character is correct, is not missing any strokes, and it's perfect. So I don't mind. Now we come to my favorite part, the radicals. I usually do this a lot with my students. It gives joy to the characters, meaning to the characters. Breaking them apart, I always give it to them as homework. Whatever you come up with, there is no wrong answer. Let's hear it. You say, this is the meaning that I think it's more appropriate. Sure. But then, I will say what I think is the most appropriate. Then we come to a conclusion. Okay? Because maybe not every teacher is right every time. Some students can be right as well. We have the characters, right? Hold the palm. Yeah. How am I going to present this to them? Quite easy. When I was young, we didn't have cell phones, right? And every time I would ask a friend of mine to come play football, I was not going to go 5 flights of stairs up to knock on the door and say, are you coming to play? What was I going to do? I was going to shout. Look at the character. It's the same movement. You shout. So you create this image. Make them like it. Make them feel it. If they feel it, then they will enjoy learning it. Otherwise, it's going to be too boring. All right, write this character for me. And most of them, they try to make it so perfect. I don't care if the character is perfect. I don't need it to be every single line straight. No. I want the character to be correct. I don't want you to draw pictures. I want you to memorize. When I was learning Chinese, we didn't even have electronic dictionaries. Now they're very lucky. Why? All you need is an electronic dictionary. You write in pinyin, it'll suggest it for you. When we had to learn it, well, at least when I was young, because I've been living in China for 15 years, we had to look at the dictionary. If you did not know how many strokes the character was made from, you had no idea how to look it up. Am I right? Now it's easy. All you have to do is write in pinyin, and it'll come up. Much easier. Second character. Not all the characters are true to its meaning when I break them up. Some of them, I make them up. I make them up to make it more interesting. Let's see the radical. What does that mean? Enclosure, right? You have to go somewhere inside. The middle part, right? Means king. What did the king do? He went inside the castle. He put the sword down and he said, this is my land. Right? My land. My kingdom. That's how they like it. Try it. Look at the king, right? Where have you seen this symbol before? Whatever you like. There is no, it's only meant to make it more interesting for them. This symbol right here, where can you find it? I always tell them, before one of the most powerful animals was the tiger. The tiger has this imprinted right here. And I make them Google it. So they all Google it. It's like, oh, 老师,对, you know? The only thing is to make the character interesting. Otherwise, they cannot link it to anything. It just looks like lines. They're used to writing with letters. It's completely different. So you have to find another approach. One of my favorite characters. Why? Man. I'm joking. Up. 天堂. Field, right? Down. Power. Power to work the field. I doubt any of us males here worked in the field before. But that gives meaning to the character. That's the whole point. Make the character interesting. And the last character. How? Break it up. A lot of students gave me different answers, right? Because I give it for homework. On the left, female. On the right, son. Right? So, a woman gave birth to a son. It's a good thing. But some of them explained it different. Right? Woman, boy. They told me it was really weird, but it made sense. It's a bond, it's a love between a brother and a sister, right? However you interpret it, doesn't matter. We have to discuss about it. If you don't discuss about it, then it's going to be so boring. Just copy the character, copy the character. You can make them fall in love with the character. That's the whole point. And lastly, I am publishing a book. Hopefully it's going to come out next month. And it's about the evolution of the Chinese characters. Sorry, but it's in Albanian. So, fortunately, you won't be able to understand it. Why did I do this book? As I said, to make characters more interesting. The hard part is not speaking Chinese. The hard part is writing Chinese. I've known even Chinese people that had difficulties writing Chinese. Because everything now is electronic. You just write in Pinyin. WeChat, Pinyin. Everywhere, Pinyin. Who writes anymore? Even the HSK exams, online, they write Pinyin. Not a lot of people do essays now writing by hand. So this helps them a lot. Just to get a feeling of how the character evolved, where it came from, and how it is now. And lastly, because I don't want to take up too much time, I wanted to express an idea that I think it's very important, especially for the local teachers. You have no idea how important you are for the local students. It's very simple for a native speaker to teach Chinese. But the feeling of the student is not going to be the same. Why? If Liu Laoshi gave me lessons, right? Of course, it's going to be wonderful. I have no doubt about it. But I will always have that in mind. Liu Laoshi is a native. I will never get to her level, no matter how I try, how hard I try. But if you're teaching them, you're an example. Wow, Irina's Chinese is so good. Maybe I can get to her level. If she can do it, I can do it. Right? It's very simple. If she can do it, then I can do it. Maybe not past her, because she'll always be moving forward, and I'm joking. It's the important thing is that you don't know how important you are to the local students. You guys have to focus, and in my opinion, you are more important in the beginning levels. I can teach high levels. It's not a problem. But if you don't fall in love with it, and it's easier for you to explain, why? Because you speak their language? No. Because you went through it. You learned it first, then you're teaching them. If Liu Laoshi teaches me, she's going to teach me the same way she's teaching another person. Since she was born, she was speaking Chinese. But you went through it. You studied it. You know where you had the difficulties in your own language, as did I. For me, in the beginning, I told you, DTC, I could never get it right. Never. Teacher taught me, okay, fine. And her method, I shared with you today. That's it. That's where I had to. I'm not going to tell my students, oh, listen, guys, right? They already know that. It's only where you struggle. That's it. Okay, guys. I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share my experience with you all. It was a pleasure, and I hope we can have a discussion afterwards. Thank you.